For more than half a century, Carol Burnett has been one of the most beloved entertainers in American history. Millions of viewers knew her as the woman who could make an audience laugh until they cried. Yet behind the smiles, sketches, and standing ovations was a life marked by poverty, family tragedy, addiction, loss, and extraordinary perseverance. One of the most revealing moments of her career came in 1977 during an episode of The Carol Burnett Show. The sketch, featuring her recurring character Eunice Higgins, was unlike anything audiences had seen before. It was painful, dramatic, and deeply personal. Critics praised it as brilliant television, and viewers were left heartbroken. Yet despite its success, Burnett never watched the performance again. Decades later, she admitted that it felt too real. The character's pain mirrored her own struggles so closely that revisiting it became impossible. To understand why that performance affected her so deeply, one must begin at the very beginning. Carol Burnett was born on April 26, 1933, in San Antonio, Texas. Her childhood was far from happy. Both of her parents struggled with alcoholism and were unable to provide a stable home. Her father frequently lost jobs, while her mother was emotionally absent due to her own battles with addiction. The instability left young Carol feeling neglected and unwanted. Long before she understood the complexities of addiction, she understood what it felt like to be disappointed by the people who were supposed to love her most. Eventually, her parents were no longer capable of caring for her. She was taken in by her grandmother, Mabel White, who became the most important person in her early life. In 1940, Carol and her grandmother moved to Hollywood, California, hoping for a better future. What they found instead was poverty. They lived in a small room inside a rundown boarding house occupied by struggling tenants, many of whom suffered from addiction, mental illness, or financial hardship. The pair survived on approximately $20 a week. Money was constantly scarce, and daily life was a struggle. Yet despite their circumstances, Burnett found something she had never truly experienced before: unconditional love. Her grandmother may not have had much money, but she provided stability, affection, and encouragement. For the first time, Carol felt safe. Like many lonely children, Burnett developed a vivid imagination. She created an imaginary twin sister named Karen. Karen was confident, charming, and outgoing, everything Carol wished she could be. She became so committed to the illusion that she would change clothes and hairstyles before reappearing as Karen. Remarkably, many of the adults in the boarding house believed Karen was real. The performance was more than a childhood game. It was one of the first signs of Burnett's extraordinary talent for acting and character creation. Movies became another important escape. Every Saturday, Carol and her grandmother attended the cinema. Though the tickets represented a significant portion of their weekly budget, those few hours offered relief from the hardships of everyday life. On the screen, she saw glamorous stars, happy endings, romance, music, and adventure. Reality was much harsher. The family was so poor that they occasionally took toilet paper from movie theater restrooms because they could not afford it at home. Burnett never forgot those struggles. One day, while watching a Tarzan film starring Johnny Weissmuller, she became fascinated by Tarzan's famous jungle yell. She practiced it endlessly, trying to perfect every note and pitch. What seemed like childish play actually helped her develop remarkable vocal control. Years later, that signature yell would become one of her most recognizable comedic trademarks. As she grew older, Burnett dreamed of becoming a journalist. She admired writing and initially planned to pursue a practical career. Her goal was to attend UCLA, but when the time came to enroll, she faced a major obstacle. She lacked the money needed for tuition. Then something extraordinary happened. A stranger whose identity she never discovered paid the amount she needed. There were no conditions and no expectations. It was simply an act of kindness that changed her life forever. At UCLA, Burnett began studying journalism. Everything changed when she took a theater class. The stage awakened something inside her. She suddenly discovered that she could sing, act, and make people laugh with ease. Professors recognized her talent almost immediately. Soon, she made a bold decision. She abandoned journalism and committed herself to theater. For a young woman from a poor background, it was a risky move. Success in entertainment was far from guaranteed. Yet for the first time in her life, she allowed herself to dream beyond mere survival. Her talent quickly earned recognition. At the end of her freshman year, she was named the most promising newcomer in UCLA's theater program. The award provided validation and confidence, encouraging her to pursue acting professionally. Another life-changing moment arrived in 1954. While attending a party in San Diego, Burnett met a wealthy businessman. She confessed her dream of moving to New York and pursuing a career on Broadway. The man listened carefully before offering a remarkable gift. He would loan her and her boyfriend, Don Soroyan, $1,000 each to help them reach New York. However, he attached 3 conditions. First, they could never reveal his identity. Second, the money could only be used to reach New York. Third, if they ever succeeded, they had to help others in return. The anonymous benefactor explained that someone had once helped him, and he wanted to continue the cycle of generosity. With $2,000 in hand, Burnett and Soroyan left California and headed east. New York was intimidating, expensive, and completely unfamiliar. Burnett knew almost no one. The money disappeared quickly, and there were moments when she considered returning home. During one emotional phone call, she nearly gave up. Then she heard a radio report about Hurricane Carol moving up the East Coast. For reasons she could never fully explain, she took it as a sign to keep going. Soon she found a place at the rehearsal club, a boarding house for aspiring actresses. Living conditions were modest, but compared to her previous circumstances, it felt wonderful. She worked odd jobs, attended auditions, and struggled alongside countless young performers chasing similar dreams. In 1955, opportunity finally knocked. The women of a rehearsal club staged a showcase performance and invited agents and producers to attend. Several influential industry figures came to watch. Burnett stood out. Her breakthrough arrived through an unusual comedy song about U.S. Secretary of State John Foster Dulles. The song was absurd, but Burnett's performance was unforgettable. Audiences loved it. Television appearances soon followed, including opportunities on major programs such as The Ed Sullivan Show and The Jack Pa Show. Suddenly, people across America were discovering her talent. The next major turning point came in 1959 when she starred in Once Upon a Mattress. Burnett played Princess Winifred, a loud, unconventional heroine who challenged traditional fairy tale stereotypes. The role fit her perfectly. The production became a surprise hit and earned Burnett her first Tony Award nomination. It also transformed her into a Broadway star. 5 years after receiving help from the anonymous benefactor, Burnett and Soroyan repaid the full $2,000. The man never responded. He remained anonymous forever. By then, Burnett was earning substantial money and establishing herself as a major talent. Television success soon followed. Her work on The Gary Moore Show introduced her to a national audience and earned her first Emmy Award. She developed memorable characters and sharpened her comedic instincts. More importantly, she learned valuable lessons about audience interaction, spontaneity, and timing. Those lessons became essential when she launched her own legendary series. Before that happened, another memorable milestone occurred. Burnett teamed with Julie Andrews for the acclaimed television special Julie and Carol at Carnegie Hall. Despite initial skepticism from network executives, the program became a tremendous success, winning major awards and demonstrating the extraordinary chemistry between the two performers. Then came the achievement that would define her career. On September 11, 1967, the Carol Burnett Show premiered. Over the next 11 seasons, it became one of the most successful variety programs in television history. Tens of millions of viewers tuned in each week. The show earned critical acclaim, commercial success, and an astonishing collection of Emmy Awards. More importantly, it broke barriers. At a time when television was dominated by men, Burnett became one of the first women to successfully headline and lead a major variety series. She proved that female performers could command audiences on the same level as any male entertainer. The program's influence extended far beyond ratings. Its blend of sketches, musical performances, audience interaction, and improvisation inspired future generations of comedians and helped shape modern television comedy. Among the show's most important collaborators were Harvey Korman and Tim Conway. Their chemistry created some of television's funniest moments. Korman was a gifted performer, but he occasionally struggled with frustration and burnout. At one point, he nearly left the show entirely. After a difficult conversation with Burnett, he reconsidered and returned with renewed enthusiasm. Tim Conway brought a completely different energy. He was famous for saving his funniest material for live performances. Rather than revealing jokes during rehearsal, he would surprise fellow cast members during tapings. The resulting laughter often became part of the final broadcast. One of the most famous examples occurred during the legendary Elephant Story sketch. Conway's increasingly ridiculous tale caused nearly everyone on stage to break character. The genuine laughter became one of the most beloved moments in television history. Yet not every memorable scene involved comedy. In 1977, Burnett performed the dramatic uni-sketch that would haunt her for decades. Unlike the show's usual humor, the piece focused on disappointment, humiliation, and crushed dreams. Audiences were stunned. The performance drew upon Burnett's own memories of hardship, rejection, and struggle. It was so emotionally authentic that she could never bring herself to watch it again. While her career flourished, her personal life became increasingly complicated. Burnett married fellow performer Don Soroyan in 1955. They shared artistic ambitions, but their marriage struggled under the weight of professional disappointments and personal.